Welcome to our first demonstration. In this demo, we're going to take a look at the AWS console and become a little bit more familiar with the way that we're going to be moving around through it, as quite a lot of the demonstrations are going to utilize the console. The AWS console is basically how you interact with the AWS ecosystem using a browser. And it does require credentials, and so we are going to have to log in. And I have already gone to aws.amazon.com. And what you'll find with the AWS console is that anytime you see bright orange buttons, those are important tasks. And so we're going to go up to this top right corner where we have sign into the AWS console and click. And as we have not created any other users yet, I only have a root user available, we're going to go ahead and log in using that. Now, I've already saved it there. And once we hit next, it's going to do a CAPTCHA. And we're going to have to type this in properly before we do anything else. We're going to find out if I can do it right on the first try. And I did not, so we'll do it again. There we go. And now I enter my password. But that's not all. I also have MFA set up. We're going to talk a little bit about MFA, or multi-factor authentication. For my account, I use a mobile app called Authy, A-U-T-H-Y. But you can use really any app that allows you to scan a QR code, like Google Authenticator. So let me go ahead and type in my token as soon as it switches over to the new one. There we go. And we're logged in. Now, I happen to have no recently visited services. This is the first time I've used this account in this browser, and so it's not going to remember any of the previous behavior. So what we're going to take a look at first is the fact that on every page in AWS, there's a bottom left-hand corner for feedback. If you run into a problem, or you'd just like to make suggestions, you can do that here. And these don't just drop into a black hole. In fact, there are entire teams at AWS who are responsible for these messages as they make their way through to Slack channels on the back end. Now we can see here, all the way at the top left, we have services. And so we can click here and we can see all of the different building blocks. But we would need to know which of those building blocks the services are in that we would like to look at. We can also just search for them here. We can type the word compute. Or we could provide a more specific name like EC2. And it's going to come up exactly. Now, we can drill down farther than services. There's also features, blogs, documentation, and so forth for every one of these terms that we put in there. Now, one of the services that I'd like to show you, you can remember it as PHD, the Personal Health Dashboard. This is one way of getting a view of what's going on in your AWS account. Now, if I had a bunch of workloads deployed with resources, when AWS performs maintenance, a lot of times that will show up in here as scheduled events or changes, and you can react accordingly. Now we can also go at the top right, we can see that the Personal Health Dashboard is a global service. It does show a list of regions, but we would need to pick a region-scoped service like EC2 in order for that to be selected and to be able to move around throughout those regions. At the top right is an important drop-down where we can see our account ID, and then we could look at account details, the billing dashboard, and our security credentials. So that finishes this first demo, and we're going to be doing a lot more in the AWS console, so it helps to become a little bit familiar with it first.